I just wanted to remind you guys to check out thebrokecapitalist.com. You'll find some awesome books there, including a historical fantasy fiction series that I star in, called Ideas in Blood. Now back to Andre.
What's up, fam? It's the Broke Capitalist coming at you on a Tuesday, the 7th of March. And here's an opportunity for me to say, I told you, or to ask you a question, or to just let you know that you were right. Okay, so I'm gonna ask the question though. Are you living in reality, or are you just living in some narrative that was created by somebody else? Most people, I believe, are living in a narrative that someone else created. A perfect example of this is Ja Morant, as he's now being called, Ja Morant. You probably heard that this, I'm gonna call him an idiot, is flashing guns and, trying to act all hard like he a thug or something. First of all, we all know what he apparently doesn't know. You've been protected from day one since someone said, hey, this dude got the ability to dribble a ball, put it in a hoop for millions of dollars. You ain't out there struggling, right? But for some reason, he wants to portray this image. And I've spoke on this subject, I don't know how many times. So the reality is Ja Morant is a $250 million African-American man, free to do what he wants, to play the game that he loves, to inspire others, to help others. But he chose to live as a member of a play stay, a member of a play, basically called If You're Black, You Gotta Be a Thug, or You're Not Real, or You're Not Authentic. And that's the biggest, dumbest, most destructive narrative facing the African-American community today and yesterday and going forward, right? You have someone who's worth $250 million hustling backwards, right? I mean, he's just hustling backwards. He's trying to go from making it to being put in jail. Why? So he can feel like he's authentic African-American, which says a lot about the African-American culture as it currently is. Now, you go back 50, you can't even say 50. Well, 50 years ago, Black folks was cool. They weren't thugs, right? The predominant image, you think about Black men, everybody was cool. I call it the era of the cool, like from mid 60s up until like the late 80s. Well, I mean, late 70s. Before that, you think of the image of an African-American man in the 40s, 50s. How was he dressed? How did he carry himself, right? There's a sense of elegance, even though society may not have respected you as an equal, at least you acted like an equal, right? Now, you got a $250 million man acting like he's at Rikers Island, and they let him out to go play basketball on 2 days during the week and 1 day on the weekend and on Christmas when you got to play the Warriors. He's living a narrative. He's not living in reality. And we got something else that just came out about the January 6th Commission. They're living in the narrative, and they want you to live in a narrative and not reality. The reality is you had two groups of people going into the Capitol building. One side was pretty violent, and those people need to be prosecuted and they need to be put in jail. The other side were being waved in by the police. Even the guy, what was he called, the QAnon shaman with the Viking helmet? They got video of this guy now being escorted around the Capitol building. In fact, there's a part in that building when they get to a door, the door is locked. The cop is the cop is in front of the guy, right? He gets to the door first, jiggles the handle. Oh, it's broke. I mean, it's locked. Let's go somewhere else. This dude's sitting in the jail cell with 4 years. They're not living in reality. They're living in a narrative. They want you to be a part of that narrative. And that narrative is Orange man bad, we can't have him as president again. We got to do everything possible to keep him out, because once he gets in, all of this uniglobal, one world government, digital central bank currency plan that we had in effect for the past, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years on full blast anyway. We can't have this guy disrupting this again. He disrupted in 2016. We're not going to have him do that again. We will do anything possible, including putting innocent people in jail, and I'm just going to say it, taking innocent lives, in order for him in particular not to be in charge again. Now, this why, the specifics of why I think that is beyond this little clip here, but just check out some videos below. I expand on it. Or in the channel, I have expanded on it. Then another one, systematic racism. Is that reality, or is that a narrative someone wants everybody in America to buy, right? The reality is something called meritocracy. And just because you Black, that don't mean I want you to be my surgeon. And just because you white, that don't mean I want you to be my pilot. I want the most qualified person to be in those positions. And this notion that, because he's Black, he didn't get the opportunity to be, in a position to qualify for these jobs, which is BS to the fullest degree. It's not just the 18-year-old boy who, got all C's in high school that now can't qualify to go to a decent university and then qualify to go to a decent med school. You got to look at not only his actions, but think about it. We don't hold children accountable for their actions, technically, until they're 18. A lot of kids graduate from high school before they turn 18. You got to look back on the parents' decisions and what they did to set this child up for success. Let's take a look at the Asian community. I lived in a neighborhood full of East Asians, right? From India, right? I mean, it's nothing but Indians surrounding me, man. It was a homogeneous neighborhood, and it was full of children. Never saw them. Now, I ain't saying this is the correct way to be, but I never saw the kids. There's a high school down the street with, 4,000 kids? I never seen them. Why? They ain't let them out the room. They studying all day. Similarly, you got Ja Morant. I'm pretty sure every time he woke up, somebody pushed a ball in front of his face and said dribble. Go on out there, dribble 12 hours a day if you want. Nobody was telling Ja Morant, you know what, you need to study calculus 12 hours a day, and then maybe one day you'll have opportunity to go to MIT. I guarantee you nobody has ever told him that in his life. So if you're thinking about systematic racism, you got to think about meritocracy, right? Because it blows that narrative out of the water. Now, are there racist people? Yes, of course. But is the whole system racist? We had a Black president twice. We got 2 Black people on the Supreme Court. One of the highest ranking, a C-level exec in one of America's most profitable pharmaceutical companies was at my house. She's an African-American who grew up in Detroit, right outside of Detroit. So if this system is systematically racist, why are these people getting the opportunity? And if you say, all right, let me move on because I'll be here all day. Police brutality, that narrative. Well, is that reality? Or is that a narrative someone wants you to live in? Well, is there no such thing as police brutality? Of course there are such things as police brutality. It's people interacting with people. And white people get their butts beat by police and killed more often than Black, just for the simple numbers. There's just more white people out there to do that, right? But remember the George Floyd thing? Nobody talked about that guy named Tim in Texas. Tim, I can't remember his name. Exact same situation. Except this guy literally called the police, white guy, because he was having a schizophrenic episode, He called the police. By the time the police was there, got there, he called the police to help him, like to keep him safe, type of thing. By the time the police got there, he was full on gone in his episode. They detained him, put him on his back, knee on his back. Meanwhile, everybody's standing around while the cop got the knee on the back, laughing and joking. This guy dies right there, and everybody's laughing while they put him in the ambulance. That's reality. The narrative is that doesn't happen. So we're not going to talk about it. You're not going to know about it because they want you to live in this narrative, not reality. Another reality about police brutality is compliance. Little black boys out there, little brown boys out there, police pull you over. You do what they say. Unless they come to assassinate you, which cops don't do, right? They don't just go around assassinating people. You got to know I don't have to define assassination for y'all. You comply. And if the police are totally out of pocket, they're totally wrong, while they taking you to the station, shut your mouth. Get the badge number. First call you make is to attorney, sue the hell out of the cop and the city. Now, you could do that and drive off in a Mercedes one day, or you can mouth off, resist arrest, take a swing at the cop, shoot at the cop. The cop shoots you. Now you get the race hustler of the year to come into your family's house and say, we need to hold the city accountable for shooting this innocent, poor black man with all the potential in the world. Meanwhile, he barely can read and write. Anyway, and the family is like, okay, yeah, I'm hurt. I'm disgusted. I want revenge. Do your thing, Crump. Right? And so now he sues the city. The city don't want the, riot on their hands, so they just write the check. Now you in the grave, but your parents drive off in the Mercedes. Now you may want to help your parents, but don't you want to be around when your parents get the help? So basically, comply. Then lastly, here's the narrative. Is the reality comfort and security, or the lack of privacy and liberty? So a lot of this tech stuff is coming down the pipe. A lot of these, you got Alexa, you got Ring, you got, your phone is always listening to you. And that's very convenient for you. But there's a big trade-off there. You lose privacy, right? And in order to sue someone for infringing on your privacy, you have to have an expectation of privacy. You can't have an expectation of privacy if you're out in the mall, right? You're out in public, right? But if you're giving away all your private, like if you say, yeah, you can listen to me 24/7, Ring, you can monitor my driveway all day, right? You're eroding, we as a society are eroding that right to privacy. And all these comforts, like ChatGPT. Oh, the other day, I just had ChatGPT, hopefully they never find out, write a letter of recommendation for an employee, right? I actually, did a simple, I told ChatGPT that I got pulled over for drunk driving, and I didn't believe that the machine was calibrated correctly. So I asked ChatGPT to write up a defense using California Penal Code, write up a defense against my arrest for drunk driving. Now, I wasn't arrested. This was just I just wanted to see what ChatGPT could do. Did it right there. I'm like, wow, right? So that's convenient, but guess what? That's going to take away a lot of attorney work, right? Simple attorney work, a lot of anything that has to do with analysis. I got several books. I asked ChatGPT if it could translate it into Japanese. It said, hold my beer. I put in the sample. I put in the first 3 pages of Our Two Societies and in Japanese. I looked into getting it translated into Japanese because a third of that book, I was in Japan. So it would be great if Japanese people could read that book. I looked into getting it translated, $4,000 to $8,000. ChatGPT, free. All right, so that's it for today. Are you living in reality, or are you living in a narrative that someone set up for you to live in? We need more people to step back and think. Like MSNBC, CNN, Fox, any news source you get, your local news source, just think about what they're telling you. Don't just absorb it. Because if you just absorb it, you'll have a tendency to tell somebody else that, and a lie just becomes the truth because it was told 1,000 times. All right, with that, I'm out, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, share, and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.